Ladies and gentlemen, we have another potential generational talent on our hands. I dove into Marvin Harrison Jr.'s film just over a month ago and determined that he is a Hall of Fame projected player and a generational talent in my eyes. Up to this point, he is the only prospect that I have given this label to. And here we are, over a month later, and we have another potential Hall of Famer on the board. Allow me to introduce you to Brock Bowers.
That's Brock Bowers!
Many see him as the greatest tight end prospect since Kyle Pitts, and some say he is even better. So in this video, I'm going to go over my Brock Bowers scouting report and determine whether or not Bowers is a generational talent. Enjoy. Before we go into film, here's an overview of Brock Bowers. Bowers was a 4-star tight end, the second highest tight end in the class of 2021, only behind Nebraska's Thomas Fidone, I didn't look it up. Bowers committed to Georgia and made a huge impact right out the gate, catching 56 passes for 882 yards and 13 touchdowns as a true freshman. Despite the 13 touchdowns and a very impressive year, that was not enough to win him the award, as it went to Trey McBride out of Colorado State. He then proceeded to win 2 straight, catching 63 for 942 and 7 touchdowns as a sophomore. And in 2023, despite missing a couple games, he caught 56 passes for 714 yards and 6 touchdowns. His freshman season put him on the map, as people were already saying he had the potential to be the greatest tight end of all time. And with 3 straight dominating seasons, those people think the same today. Let's dive into the film. I think it's a safe bet to begin this scouting report with his insane athleticism as a tight end prospect. He has so many athletic traits that contribute to huge success as a receiver, and the amount of greatly athletic tight ends in the NFL is scarce. Teams pushing for a new trendsetter should push for Bowers in this class. I fell in love with his straight line speed really quick. I do believe his acceleration could use some work, but when it comes down to deep speed, he 100% has it. On this play against South Carolina in 2023, he may not get the ball, but he speeds past several defenders and gets downfield so fast. If Carson Beck had more time in the pocket, Bowers would be getting this ball. This is unreal speed for a tight end. And it was also shown in his 2022 season, where in the Peach Bowl against Ohio State, he had OSU safety Lathan Ransom beat, who he's now an NFL prospect this year as well, and he would have outrun him for the catch if Stetson Bennett's ball was better. But that is a tight end versus a safety, but it doesn't really matter the position. Safety, linebacker, even corner struggled to keep up with his deep speed. I think his fluidity also translates to great athleticism, as no matter if he's knocked off his route or has to work in traffic, he is able to keep his route going at the same speed that it was going before. But there are so many other athletic traits that factor into the next couple categories, so let's talk about the yak appeal of Bowers. Combining his speed, fluidity, and other athletic traits, he is a massive threat after the catch and in the open field. I almost didn't mark this as a positive due to the first couple games I watched, those being 2023 Auburn and 2023 Kentucky. The screen passes that were thrown to him in those games went for minimal yardage, but instead, I noticed that using his spatial awareness, he was able to efficiently get into gaps, receive the ball, and cook from there. The elusiveness part of his athleticism pops out in this section, including in the Kentucky game that I just criticized, where he makes an adjustment to grab the ball, uses his speed to get downfield, then leaves a defender flying way out of the play to gain a few extra yards. Absolutely elite yak play if you ask me. But his yak appeal would not come without that spatial awareness discussed, which falls under his top-notch route running abilities. Just like his yak appeal, I was not a huge fan of the route running right out the gate, but I thought it was viable. And just like that, Bowers changed it. The final quarter against Auburn in 2023 was such an elite quarter for Bowers, as he caught 4 passes for 121 yards and a touchdown, along with the 15-yard grab taken off the board by penalty. Watch some of these routes by Bowers in this quarter. On this play, he goes out after 15 yards, which may or may not have been the game plan, but he went when he had space. 2 plays later, His spatial awareness route takes him 40 yards to the house, cutting inside after noticing the soft coverage from Auburn continued down the field. This touchdown ended up being the game-winning touchdown. So we know what he can do in the open field, both before and with the football, but his route running is also very impressive in traffic. I mentioned earlier that his fluidity is fantastic in traffic, and yes, that translates to good routes. On this play, he doesn't get the ball because of the read from Beck, but he does a nice job at working through all of the traffic to get outside and actually create separation off of the defender. And he overall just does a nice job at creating separation, where in this clip he finds separation later on and could have had a touchdown if Bennett held off just a little longer. So we know what he can do as a receiver. So what if I told you that despite his low end frame for the wide tight end position, he is an efficient run blocker? Insane, right? I think his overall play strength is nothing to adore, but both his hand technique and footwork allow for effective blocks in the run and sometimes in the pass, but that won't be discussed here. I think personally that Georgia finally allowed for Bowers to show this blocking flexibility in 2023 since Darnell Washington went pro after the 2022 season. And Washington was basically a 6th lineman on most plays. On this play, he doesn't get the best hit on the defender, but it's enough to take him out of the play, which was exactly the point. This job gets done on so many blocking reps, and while there are some negatives due to his play strength, the technique is enough for it to work most of the time. His play strength does sometimes pop out in run blocking, like in this play against Auburn where he pancaked a defensive lineman. All in all, Bowers is a huge dual threat, so combining the receiving traits with the blocking traits, you can assume the alignment versatility is present. And if you've been paying attention, it 100% is, making for the 5th and final positive of the scouting report. I won't spend too much time on this section, but if you saw all of the plays throughout this video, you can see that Georgia used Bowers basically everywhere, and I would not be surprised if NFL teams did the same. I'm talking slot, X receiver, backfield, pistol fullback, the list goes on. Bowers used this alignment versatility to catch teams off guard, and I'll be bold yet real. Without Bowers' alignment versatility, the Georgia offense is nowhere near as effective as it was, and they would not win back-to-back national championships. So, there are the positives about Brock Bowers. Now let's talk about the negatives. Both of these negatives have to do with Bowers in the pass game primarily, beginning with his inconsistencies to separate down the seams. I will say that his spatial awareness is still great, but down the seams for some reason he struggled to create separation from anyone and his awareness grew inconsistent. On this play, for example, he ran directly into the defender trying to cut outside, allowing for that defender to lock up Bowers and take him out of the play. He did basically the exact same thing earlier in the Auburn game, just on a different side of the field. Can you see why I was concerned for his route running at first? This was not as present in later film, and honestly, it was very impressive against South Carolina, but for too many examples of being unable to get separation up the seams, his role in the NFL is going to be questioned by some franchises. The other negative I want to hit is a tacky on-the-field character concern that I noticed. Some plays that he had were just overall a little lousy. Some routes were not Bowers-esque routes. Some blocks just did not hit well. Some plays just felt unfinished and lousy. I'm unsure if this is a stamina concern or if some plays just didn't look as appealing, and I don't mean to sound awful by calling these plays lousy, but it is what I saw. Again, as I mentioned, it is a bit tacky, but it's still present on the scouting report. So, there you have it. The positives and the negatives of Brock Bowers. Here's my final scouting report on him. The positives are extremely athletic for a tight end. Top speed is ridiculous. Alignment versatility is super appealing. Threat in the open field and in traffic. Capable as a run blocker. Some routes were absolutely phenomenal. And very good spatial awareness in deep zones. And Bowers' negatives are frame is generally small for a wide tight end. struggles to separate up the seams, some routes were a bit lousy, and the 2022 Ohio State tape was not appealing. Do I think Brock Bowers is generational? Absolutely. Do I think that he's a Hall of Fame talent? I don't think so. I gave Brock Bowers an A grade, which translates to a first-round talent and a 77 overall. Out of all the guys I've rated so far, he is number 4 on my big board, behind Marvin Harrison Jr., Drake May, and Caleb Williams. Do you think Brock Bowers is going to make the Hall of Fame? Do you think he's even generational? Let me know in the comment section below. Well, that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. I'm coming out with a lot of NFL draft content throughout 2024 along with college football content. So if you're not subscribed, you're missing out. Once again, I'm Chase Keller from Chase Keller Journalism, and thank you guys so much for choosing this channel as your source of sports coverage. I'll see you guys in the next video.